on the spot. So
hey, first of all, you put yourself on the spot because a couple of weeks ago I rang Sultan to be happy to tell him that I was building a crazy car for the first time ever, 2JZ and a Lambo, and he goes, oh, that's interesting, and then silence, and then rings me back, and then all this started.
So since he's back, he put us on the spot now, and yes, we're doing the LS twin turbo on a McLaren, so we might as well bring back the build series, and this is going to be the first one.
Yeah, so we've obviously had a little film around it just because we wanted, he just does so much cool stuff that nobody sees. Yeah. I was like, you got to do this build now. This is too crazy a build to not document start to finish.
So he's going to cover the story. He started.
We're going to go with obviously an LS. You spoke briefly about this, which is a Porsche PDK, bolted on. So you got German gearbox bolted onto an American engine.
Swedish bell housing.
Swedish bell housing into an English car.
Yeah, an American engine. So.
Obviously.
We're going to get into all the nitty gritty and all the technical side of stuff because I won't bore you. I think it's just.
No, I'll be honest. There's so much of it that even. It has to have its own channel. True. It can't just be in and amongst our content. It's got to be given its space because there's so many revolutionary things you're doing here that everyone's going to want to see this.
It's all in theory. We're going to try, but we've been put on the spot now, so we have to make it work somehow, some way. So follow the build. Follow us when we're going to try to put this engine in the gearbox in, try to make the electronics work, try to do an angle kit, try to figure out everything else. Work to mount the handbrake and everything.
I'm exhausted hearing what you have to do. Never mind, I don't have to do it, but I've heard it and I went, there's electronics in the gearbox, there's a different engine, there's 2 turbos. This is a complicated build.
It's gonna be fun. He put us on the spot, so now you're gonna join us on the trip and we'll see how it goes.
I'll be watching and I just can't believe this is actually happening.
Engine's out, finally. It's spacious. It's gonna give us a lot of room to do a lot of nice stuff inside, I hope. It's bigger than I thought. There's a brace in the middle that might cause an issue for the intake. If we want to run a conventional intake, I might do the mid-mount spider style, but all in good time. We're gonna have to fiddle with the rear structure of the McLaren. Put the camera, at least they'll know what I'm trying to say. See the mess. So yeah. A lot going on. The engine mount and transmission mount and where the axles will go and all the lines and the water lines and pumps and all the good stuff. So once we figure that out, ask me again in a few days and I'll give you a nice update.
Radio Gus.
They don't like me as I am. Well, they gon' be hating me after. You putting pages in rhymes, I'm putting pages in titles. Lucky them pages was faded to mirror. I just had faded to black and it faded insurance. I was with it too, making the pop, making my way to the top, laughing the present, giving the gift to the past, making my sentence sad. You can relate, give it to in your bag, they got it bad.
Yeah, Raju. Good job. You can ruin the car, no problem.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit.
We're gonna put a smaller intake. Anyway.
Oh my God.
The heads are too big. These are Mass Motorsports, the black label. It's just to mock up on this intake fits this head, so Roger's having fun. But it's not gonna fit. We know it.
Yeah, I mean it kind of looks like you might have a problem closing, huh? Looks cool though.
It looks really cool.
You can get a little smaller one, like shave it up.
These heads are huge. Yeah. Amazing airflow and everything. It's LS3. This is a LS7 spare block I had. Just to mock up where things should work. Yeah. Looks cool.
It's very good.
So it is a mess, but for example, this is the rad that comes from the McLaren. What I want to do is change the plastic chambers to aluminum and weld on some -20 fittings. I'll run very similar to what they're running through to the LS with an electric water pump. So So that's what I'm doing with the rad. That's the air-to-water intercooler for the factory turbos that come out of the McLaren. I might be running it, I might be changing it to like a universal Michelotto or something, some other brand, whatever. Like a piece that runs air-to-water, because I think I still want to run all the lines from the McLaren. But all in good time, time would tell what we'll use. But it's interesting because the car doesn't run, so it runs two mechanical water pumps that are driven on, so the higher the RPM, the more water flows through the rads, the front and the rear. So I'm gonna delete both and run two different electrical water pumps, one for the turbos and one for the engine. So right now it's a bit of a mess, but it's all in here. I don't know how to explain. It should, in theory, it should work, but we'll see. So that's what it looks like. Obviously, we have the brakes here. We are changing the hat. We already did it to the front. We have the rears, and the front is done. I'm running Nissan bearings. I'm gonna run ARP studs and all that good stuff.
True Store 17 fashion, everything's changed.
Yeah, we changed our mind. We're not running the auxiliary radiators for the turbos. We're going straight with the air-to-air intercooler. So the plan is, it's gonna go straight into the intake there. That's the intake we're gonna run for this build. And then the chambers for the twins are here. Obviously, it's a bit too high because if you remove your hand, yeah, you see there's jacks there holding stuff in place. But no more auxiliary radiator. We're running air-to-air, all the boost. So hopefully things will work out.
To infinity and beyond.
So like we said, we deleted the front auxiliary radiator for the turbos, and we decided to do our own chambers.
True cardboard-aided design right here.
And yeah, they're pre-bent, pre-cut, ready to be welded. No more dash 20s like we said earlier. It's going to be straight dash 16. Each rad on each side, right and left, will have its own water pump. It's the 115. It's much smaller. It takes 10 amps each. And then we have the Motion Raceworks water pump delete. So 2 in and out from each side, goes to each radiator with its own water pump. And for the turbo, there's no more water pump for that. It's straight up intercooler. And hopefully it's less of a mess that way. So the fuel system that we wanted to do is done. This is the factory O-ring that goes, the ring that goes on top, and obviously that's the gasket for the fuel system. We're replacing it, we're using this one. We're replacing the top hats with our own. Basically, we did a bolt on this side, positive and negative terminals for the fuel pump on this surge tank, the factory surge tank. This side has a fuel level sender. That's why we have 4 holes on this one. This side doesn't, so it just needs a positive and negative for a fuel pump. And we're running non-brushless, so it's just positive and negative. They both have fittings. One is gonna have a breather check valve, which we did. It's gonna be countersunk. Our check valve is gonna be here. And the other one is gonna have a return. The tank, factory tank, is connected from the bottom. So the return doesn't matter on which side, and the fuel level, in that case, doesn't matter on which side it is. So that's how we're gonna run it. We're gonna run the stock fuel system. We made our own hats. That's the fuel O-ring and the cap, the pressure cap that holds it in place, and it should be all good. We've taken apart the rear hubs for the McLaren. When we designed the Porsche, we ran 370 shafts, and they're pretty good. And we have the adapters for the axles that were 370 shafts to run on a Porsche box. Obviously, we're going to run the PDK this time, but they're all the same. So the McLaren bearing is, we've taken it out. We're going to run the 370 stuff for Nissan. We got the circlip. We found the correct size for the bearing. We're going to take it back to the machine shop. We're going to have to machine the inside for the size of the bearing, and then we'll put a circlip, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. Should work, in theory. So then we can get the 370 shafts and also adjust it accordingly. So it worked the last time, should work this time, but we'll see. That's where we stand with the hubs. Things are moving. Mechanically, I'm not too scared, I'm not too worried, let's say. I just need the kit. Hopefully, that's the one I'm kind of, let's say worried. I'm not worried, but like that's gonna be crunch time. The rest, it's gonna be a huge job for the wiring and all, because all the water lines and the whole shebang that we're trying to do. It's gonna be a mess and a headache, but we kind of figured it out.
This is probably one of the more conventional things you put in LSM. Compared to everything else.
Compared to all the other stuff, yeah.
Everything else this here is like, you're putting it in the boot, you're putting it in the back. This is in the front of the car. It's so novel. Yeah, this is where it actually should go.
LS then?
We're gonna look at him. He's delighted.
He's happy, man.
He's happy. He's like, I came here with all my Japanese shit, and then he's like, no. And I came to the conclusion of the LS.
I didn't say a word. I didn't say
And he walks in and he just went, yes. We can help you now. So I'm like, we found a gearbox here that's mine that I forgot I bought, an engine that you forgot you bought,
and a housing that's like has a small crack, but nothing Ian
can't fix. So everything we needed to do this very strange conversion is in this room.
within the vicinity.
That doesn't happen very often back home, believe me.
Yalla Habibi! Just skate on the jack and go down.
How's it going?
Good now. Engine's in. Sump's not hitting on anything. Put it back. Racks on. Engine mounts are going in. So getting somewhere. Getting somewhere. Right, Sammy, you asked me what we just did.
Yes.
So the boys, Raju, marked the centre of the chassis on the McLaren. They drilled two 30mm holes all the way through. It's like a big box section with reinforcing in it that holds most of the rear end of the McLaren together, holds the engine in place. Obviously, the normal McLaren engine, not an LS. So what they had done, they had some Bush's machines, solid aluminium, slotted them through the chassis, and we just fully TIG welded them front and back. That's going to hold the PDK gearbox in the back of this car.
Great.
Sammy's like, can you just stay?
That's the perfect shot.
Whatever.
Next episode, we're going to dive straight into the angle kit. Completely one-of-one custom angle kit that Sultan's designed for McLaren in order for it to do a bit of forklift. It's going to be interesting. See you guys in the next episode.